bill does late-term abortion. So how does he get that? What are the exemptions to that law that was passed?
That's a really good question, thank you. The limits to it are, it's actually a viability ban. So the language actually says that after the point of viability, a baby can no longer be aborted. Obviously, it's all subjective because no matter what the law is, we're always depending on the abortionist to follow it, if that makes sense. So there's
Right.
no one from the Department of Health standing there making sure that during that visit with that woman, they're doing X, Y, and Z correctly and making sure they're reporting it correctly and all of that. So
Right.
that's just a flaw in all of our law, really. But it requires that at 20 weeks gestation, they need to do testing for viability. And so I think it names like 3 or 4 types of tests and said, or others, that need to be performed if it's determined that the baby is 20 weeks or more. And if the baby is found to be viable, they cannot be aborted. So I think in very limited circumstances, there are some late-term abortions that still happen, but we have seen the numbers drop significantly after about 22 weeks. The other way that we know that clinics get around this, like Haskell, because Planned Parenthood doesn't do abortions after I think 18 weeks or something like that. So there's really very, very few providers who are doing it at all. Martin Haskell's maybe the only one left in Ohio. After we started reviewing the reports, because they actually fill out a report for every woman on whom they perform an abortion and send that into the state. That's how we get our information. I would not be surprised if we see a sudden uptick in abortions at 19 weeks. Because he can just say, oh, well, I did gestational age testing and this baby's not 20 weeks yet. Therefore, I don't have to do the thorough work of determining viability. So with the closure of his clinic in Sharonville, I think that will make another huge impact. I think also, I don't know, I just can't think of any other doctor currently who's still performing late-term abortions in Ohio. I don't know if you know of anyone. I really think it's just Dr. Haskell, and now he's limited his clinic down the road. But I think that physicians have definitely gotten the word. I've heard just through OBGYN groups that, you know, they won't deal with anything after 18
Well, he
weeks.
must have some other exemption that he uses. If he's doing a 36-week child, I mean, what, does he say that it's a threat to the mother's health? Is that an
Right.
exception?
Right.
Or is it her emotional health?
No, emotional health is not it. I wish I had the language in front of me to
Okay.
tell you. I could send it to you later. I'd be happy to do that. The numbers I know, I can tell you they're very small. I really don't know, but we can find out. We
So
can
maybe
see.
he's not doing so many late-term abortions, what you would be suggesting.
Yeah.
He's probably moved them all to younger, even though he claims the title of it.
Right. And he, recently there was an article on him in, I think it was the Cincinnati Enquirer, and he called himself the poster child of the Partial Birth Abortion
Right.
Act. Why would you want that label for yourself? I don't know. Anyway, I'll get you those numbers though. We have that.
Because if he drops his facade, he has to face himself.
Right. That's the biggest reason.
I saw some other hands up.
Just a clarification, the language that in Ohio Right to Life has been using, unless a woman is suffering like from something that caused serious physical impairment.
Yeah, I think it's
It's
immediate.
a very, very
Yeah.
stringent exception, then abortion is permitted.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
With the undercover work that's been done, I think everybody exposing some of the different things that are, especially with underage girls,
Yeah.
the potential statutory rape not being reported, is there any legislative efforts along that line to stop that or?
That is something we've been looking into. You know, with them not reporting rape now, they're already breaking the law. So, I don't know, you know, something we have talked about is reporting of domestic violence and child abuse and things like that, and making sure that they are a mandatory reporter. I have not had conversations with legislators about that yet, because I'm still trying to do kind of the groundwork research to determine how we would do that. But yes, that's something we certainly hear about. In the back.
I think Paula Westwood's going to talk to this later on, but Martin Haskell has not closed his abortion clinic in Sharonville. He's just not doing surgical abortions, but he is still open in
I read too, and I think you guys can probably correct me, but I read too that he chose not to do chemical abortions either. Have you read that?
I think Paula can, yeah, he's not doing them right at this point in time. I don't know if he is able, I don't know what's involved in trying to get the, people here are allowed to do it, but we had somebody call, they were wanting an abortion, and they told her that she would have to go to Indianapolis to receive that, because he's got the clinic in Indianapolis, and that's apparently, that is early on in
Mm-hmm.
that, and, but they're not distributing that in Sharonville.
Okay.
He's open for consults, they come, as I was here yesterday, but consults, it says enough to now, not to be
Okay. I will say too, we've made it pretty difficult to do even RU46 abortions in Ohio. And a lot of providers are quoted, every time NARAL puts something out, they're quoted as saying, oh, it's just too difficult and we don't want to do it.
That's good.
Can you go over that? Because we were just talking about that at the table.
Yeah.
That's highly popular.
It's pretty complicated, not because of Ohio law, because of the drug and the way the drug is actually regulated by the FDA.
Right.
But we passed a law in 2004 that said physicians have to follow FDA guidelines in prescribing RU486. So under Ohio law, only a physician can do it, and then they have to follow these very stringent guidelines set by the FDA. It involves having an agreement with the drug manufacturer. I believe the manufacturer is called Mifeprex. I'm not sure if that's true. And when they sign that agreement, they say that they're going to follow all of these same things as well. So in Ohio, it can only be used up to 49 days of pregnancy or 7 weeks. They have to essentially make 4 visits to the doctor to do it. You come in for your initial visit, which is that 24-hour informed consent required for any abortion. You come in for your first dose of the pill. You come back 2 or 3 days later for the second dose, and then you have to have a follow-up visit 14 days later. So it's a lot of work. It's not like you just pop this pill and leave, which you can do in other states. There's a really tight time frame on it. We have called abortion clinics and asked, just said, oh, I think I'm 5 weeks pregnant. What can you guys do? And some of them will just say, well, we probably can't get you here in time, so you're gonna have to go to, and this is in Columbus that we're calling. They'll say, you'll have to go to Akron. Or we'll call a place in Cleveland, and they'll tell us that we have to go to Toledo, or something like that. So there's these very weird, they're all working together some way, but I don't know. We've made it complicated enough that they can't just say, oh, come in and we'll take care of that.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cut you off. I
No
promise
problem.
I'll be fully on this, but thank you very much, Stephanie.